I've spent a little bit of time in jail and locked in my house. I have a lot going on, but it's okay to lose, but it's not okay to not try.
Somehow, got the job done, and, it just felt...
Always going to be a big ask against someone so much bigger than me, younger than me, more active than me, bro. A real challenge. They want to fight.
Andrew Tate's return under Misfits Boxing in Dubai was always going to be risky, but the numbers made it even tougher. At 40 years old and coming off a decade of inactivity, he stepped into a 6-round fight at a 200 pounds limit against Chase Deer, a reigning champion who was 11 years younger and roughly 20 kilos heavier. From the start, the physical gap and ring sharpness were obvious. Tate relied on confidence and reputation, but in combat sports, timing, conditioning, and recent experience usually outweigh belief alone, and that reality showed quickly once the fight got underway.
Younger than me, he's 20 kilo bigger than me, he's more active than me. I didn't fight a pussy, I fought the champ, so. Let's go, in life, you gotta get in there and you gotta swing and never give up.
I said, I'm really about to share the ring with Top G. It's like, it's a sport at the end of the day. This is boxing. Anything can happen, it just takes one punch. And I think I felt a couple of his. He felt a couple.
Tate walked in like it was another viral moment waiting to happen. Chin high, shoulders back, full confidence on display. But 6 hard rounds later, the scorecards told a different story. 57-57, 58-56 for Deer, a majority decision that instantly shifted the energy in the room. You could see the change in real time. The swagger gave way to confusion, the certainty to calculation, as he searched for answers under bright lights he usually controls. That final bell didn't just end a fight, it disrupted the narrative he's built for years. For someone whose brand revolves around dominance and absolute conviction, being forced into public vulnerability may have been the most jarring part of the night.
I'm not going to say anything bad about him. I'm not going to make up any reasons. He was the man who won. He deserves this victory. Truthfully, completely.
I think it was a very entertaining fight from start to finish, and I think it had people on the edge of their seats, and that's all you can ask for in a boxing match.
Look, I know there's a lot of respect between you and Andrew, but a lot of...
Tate started sharp, trying to recreate his old rhythm with jabs and body shots, but there was a visible gap between confidence and execution. Deer stayed calm, controlled the pace, and let Tate burn energy early. By round 3, Tate's movement slowed, his output dipped, and the momentum clearly shifted, turning the fight into a story about conditioning and ring sharpness more than hype.
I won the first 2 rounds, just because he's 20 kilo heavier and started leaning on me and got some energy. So I didn't quit, never give up, never retreat, never surrender, fight to the end, go out in your shield. And I felt a tinge of fear for the first time in my life. And that's when I knew I had to fight. Because the second I felt afraid, I knew I had to fight.
As the fight wore on, Tate's movement visibly faded. The bounce in his stance disappeared. His feet grew heavy, and Deer leaned into the gritty details, clinches, pressure, body weight, and constant disruption. It wasn't flashy, but it was effective. Deer's plan was simple: make the older, inactive fighter work every second, tax his gas tank, and force the sharpness to dull. By round 4, Tate looked labored between exchanges, breathing harder, reacting slower, and struggling to reset. Ring rust and conditioning aren't things you can talk away, and Deer exposed that reality round by round.
Felt like I won the first 2 rounds, and then because he's 10 kilo heavier and started leaning on me and sapped some energy. But I didn't quit, never give up, never retreat, never surrender, fight to the end, go out in your shield. Went fantastic. Time is the fire in which we all burn. Unfortunately, a 40-year-old's not a 22-year-old, but I gave it my...
By round 5, the shift was undeniable. Deer's uppercut snapped Tate's balance and changed the tone of the fight completely. What had started as a competitive matchup turned into visible damage control. Tate began absorbing clean shots, a cut opened above his right eye, and his legs no longer looked steady. Even when he went down, ruled a push rather than a knockdown. The optics told their own story. The aura of certainty he built his brand on cracked in real time. The crowd's Top G chants felt less like celebration and more like encouragement, as if they were trying to carry him through a moment that had clearly slipped out of his control.
I'm not going to make up any reasons. He was the man who won. He deserves this victory. Truthfully, completely, honestly, I'm actually very proud of him. I have to know that Misfit are a true champion, because he is a true champion. Because he showed tremendous heart and tremendous grit, and he fought to the end just like I did. So I'm not disappointed in myself. I don't operate from that frame. The only way I would be disappointed in myself is if I was too scared to fight at all.
Tate shifted entirely into survival mode, abandoning exchanges and depending on ring awareness and veteran instincts to get through the fight. He clinched, grabbed, and leaned whenever necessary, doing everything he could to remain upright and prevent a stoppage. At that stage, the goal was no longer to control the action, but to preserve whatever pride was left. Still, he reached the final bell. No referee intervention, no dramatic fall. Just 6 exhausting rounds that proved determination alone cannot overcome age, ring rust, or a clear size disadvantage. He went the distance, yes, but going the distance is very different from setting the tempo. And when the judges' scorecards were announced, the confidence he brought into the ring had already started to slip away.
Old man, there was a conversation that was at Andrew. You're 40 years old. You just got out of jail. You've been through so much. You have so many problems. There's so much going on. Why would you do this? Why would you risk it all? Why would
The fight have gone differently if he wasn't on the 200-pound limit?
You know, it's a hard to say what ifs. Like, that wasn't the case. That wasn't the scenario. I don't want to discredit my opponent in any way. He showed up very tough. I showed up very tough. We fought it out. That's what it was.
How are you going to
Then came what was framed as a major revelation, but instead of feeling shocking, it landed awkwardly. Andrew Tate openly acknowledged that he felt real fear before agreeing to the fight, something he claimed he had never experienced prior to this moment. Hearing that from someone who markets confidence programs and has built his entire image around absolute dominance shifted the narrative instantly. Suddenly, fear became the headline. He presented the admission casually, almost as if turning vulnerability into a strategic move, suggesting that acknowledging it was a form of strength. Yet the way it came across felt less like empowerment and more like an attempt to reshape the narrative after losing control in the ring.
fantastic? Time is the fire in which we all burn. Unfortunately, a 40-year-old, not a 22-year-old. But I gave it my absolute try. So once again, absolute respect to Chase. Complete respect to Chase. No excuses. I'm not going to give you any bullshit about injuries or any of that crap. He got in there. He fought against the odds, and he beat me, and he deserves full credit. He's a doubt going forward with an action. I don't operate that way. If Chase and I had to fight again tomorrow, I'd go tomorrow still with 100% belief in myself, even though I know he just beat me. That's who I am. So I don't, the second I knew that, I was worried about it, I knew I had to do it. And I'm not afraid to lose. I'm afraid.
He attempted to reframe that fear as fuel, saying it awakened a personal principle he follows about never retreating from a challenge. In his telling, the moment of doubt activated a deeply rooted code that defines how he operates. It sounds meaningful at first, until you realize this insight only appeared after the result was official. Leading up to the fight, the message was unwavering belief and certainty. Once the judges made their decision, the tone shifted to introspection and layered philosophy. What we were seeing didn't feel like bravery. It felt like image repair presented as self-discovery, turning second thoughts into wisdom after the verdict didn't go in his favor.